freedom from unhappiness. Do you resent doing what you're doing? It may be your job, or you may have agreed to do something and are you doing it are doing it, but part of your resents and resist it. Are you carrying unspoken resentment toward a person close to you? Do you realize that the energy you thus emanate is so harmful in its effects that you are in fact contaminating yourself as well as those around you? Have a good look inside. Is there even the slightest trace of resentment, unwillingfulness, unwillingness? If there is, observe it on both the mental and the emotional levels. What thoughts is your mind creating around the situation? Then look at the emotion, which is body's reaction to those thoughts. Feel the emotion. Does it feel pleasant or unpleasant? Is it an energy that you would actually choose to have inside you? Do you have a choice? Maybe you are being taken advantage of. Maybe the activity you are engaged in is tedious. Maybe someone close to you is dishonest, irritating, or unconscious, but all this is irrelevant.
Read again, Rishi, with right punctuation, please.
Maybe you are being taken advantage of. Maybe the activity you are engaged in is tedious. Maybe someone close to you is dishonest, irritating, or unconscious, but all this is irrelevant.
Excellent.
Wow.
Whether your thoughts and emotions about the situation are justified or not makes or not makes no difference.
Huh? Justified or not?
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, there should be comma.
Huh?
Whether your thoughts and emotions about the situations are justified or not makes no difference. The fact is that you are resisting what is. You are making the present moment into an enemy. You are creating unhappiness, conflict between the inner and the outer. Your unhappiness is polluting not only your own inner being and those around you, but also collective human psyche of which you are an inseparable part. The pollution of the planet is only an outward reflection of an inner psychic pollution.
Ah, what a word. Inner psychic pollution. Okay.
The pollution of the planet is only an outward reflection of an inner psychic pollution. Millions of unconscious individuals not taking responsibility for their inner space.
We will pause a little. And how many of us are discovering a Setu among the words which have been used here? One is resentment, another is resistance, another is pollution.
One and the same thing.
Also, justification when you try to justify your your resentments.
Yeah,
Justified resentments.
yeah,
Wanting the things to be something else all the
yeah.
time, keeping that in mind and resisting its being.
It's so subtle, but what a spiritual growth. I mean, if you look at the world, how many people are able to clearly feel that a resentment is a resisting factor. We are resisting our consciousness to flow, to flower, to flower, allowing the present moment to partner with us. We are resisting that. Moment we have any resistance. What a growth, what a transformation at this very point when we are able to recognize that this attitude of resistance in itself is a blockage, is an impediment. This resentment is resistance, is a pollution to the present moment, polluting the present moment, breaking that eternal, natural, spontaneous relationship which the Creator has granted us. And on the flip side, I will go a little farther. Resentment create a setu with a few other things. Resentment is, how is it related with judgment, conditioning, obsessive thinking, emotional charge stored in the subconscious mind, past, habit, memory. Are you able to connect? Are you able to create a setu with all these words? A small pinch of resentment.
Pain body, as in the words of Eckhart Tolle.
Correct. Minute resentment may not be a pain body, Kapil.
Ji.
Pain body is a very registered habit of resenting on everything, on everyone. You've seen some people, they're never happy.
No.
So that's a pain body. A small resentment is very natural. The guy is not a pain body. They just have a resentment. But that too is a pollution. That too is a disruption of the flow of the presence. We are being de-centered. Our foundation is being misplaced at those moments. The moment we become conscious, we are grateful. Thanks to the resentment. You made me conscious. You made me conscious. You made me return to my presence. Make sense? All these words that I've said?
Yeah.
Let's go forward.
So having a resentment is not the problem, is it? It's the
It's pretty natural.
it's natural.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's an opportunity to be grateful. क्योंकि याद है मैं कितने बार बोला था, एकट ने खुद भी बोला था कि वो इतना प्रेजेंस में रहते हैं फिर भी उसको कभी कभी तो छूटता है ना. इट्स वेरी नेचुरल. क्या 100% प्रेजेंस में कोई रह सकता है भला? हम तो स्लिप करेंगे ही. दुनियादारी है. तो अच्छा है ना, एक रिसेंटमेंट आया पर हम उसमें फंसा नहीं, हम अनकॉन्शियस नहीं है. जो दुनियादारी के लोग हैं, जो ऑयस्टेरियंस नहीं हैं, ये सिंसियर ऑयस्टेरियंस जो रेगुलर पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं इस जर्नी में, इन लोग तो रेजिस्टेंस से ग्रेटफुल होंगे. Thank you very much. You are giving me an opportunity to practice present moment awareness. नहीं तो कुछ करने का ही नहीं है. हम तो फिर सोहम बन गए.
आपके आने से पहले यही कुछ हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे इस पॉइंट पे ऋषि. I was traveling, I was in Bombay, I got back only last night.
Yeah.
रात को 1 बजे ही सोया हूँ. तो ऋषि said I thought you won't be joining. तो वही तभी मैं थोड़ा सा गिल्टी था. सुबह there was यार सुबह फिर उठना है, वो रिसेंटमेंट थी. बट वो the attraction was greater, so I said नहीं यार OYSTER तो जाना ही जाना है. So I guess you kind of correlate to that, yeah.
कितना इंटेंसिटी है देखिए. आप इसको रेफर भी कर रहे हैं. मतलब आपको ये ग्रोथ एक लॉन्ग टर्म इंस्पिरेशन है आपके लिए.
एक रेजिस्टेंस थी सुबह, एक थोड़ी रिसेंटमेंट थी, बट yeah,
attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, so I was slightly guilty about that, but then it makes sense. It's natural.
That's the growth. आपको याद है, if you remember, और subtle thing, UXL में जा रहे हैं. We would like to specially congratulate those people. वादमेकम रिपोर्टिंग की बात कर रहे हैं. जब बंदा रिपोर्ट करता है कि जिंदगी में किया नहीं कुछ, कोई खास कंट्रीब्यूशन लोगों के जीवन में किया नहीं, तो धक्के खा के शुरू किया काम. तो उसमें एक बंदा रिपोर्ट करता है कि हम निकल के चले गए थे, आगे बढ़ गए थे, फिर मैं रुका. अरे यार, then I came back and helped that man. Remember, कई बार हुआ है, वो बंदा गाड़ी चला के निकल गया, फिर अचानक उसको स्ट्राइक किया. अरे, that was an opportunity. तो वो घुमा के ले आया गाड़ी और उस बंदे को मदद किया, इधर लिफ्ट दिया, कुछ पैसे दिए, कुछ भी किया. शुरू में नहीं किया था, वापस आके किया है. और उस वापसी को हम बहुत अच्छी तरह से कंग्रेचुलेट करते हैं. वो कह रहा है, दिस रिटर्न नीड्स टू बी कॉम्प्लीमेंटेड. दिस फेलो हैज ग्रोन. ठकास उसको स्ट्राइक किया और उसने एक्शन लिया. जो स्पॉन्टेनियसली आगे बढ़ के किया, उससे भी अच्छा वो बंदा है जो भूल के निकल गया था, अचानक उसको स्ट्राइक हुआ, वो वापस आया और उसको ग्रैटिट्यूड में ट्रांसफर किया, चेंज किया, ट्रांसफॉर्म किया. सो हर वक्त हमारी ये गलती के थ्रू जो अपने आप को करेक्ट करना होता है, वो सबसे बड़ा ग्रोथ है लाइफ में.
मैं, if I may be allowed to share my experience during UXL Plus, Ashit.
Yes.
Vademekam reporting, Prabhat might remember. तो मेरी शुरू से ही आदत रही है that I spend an hour alone in the room when everybody is sleeping early morning. So UXL Plus जब चल रहा था, Vademekam reporting भी करनी थी. So मैं early morning I used to sit and meditate in my drawing room. तो मैं आके बैठा और देखा वहाँ पे नैना ने कुछ घर के कपड़े बंडल बना के रखा हुआ था कि कल गूंज में देके आना है. एंड द मिनट आई सॉ इट, मैंने कहा चलो मेरी वाडेमेकम रिपोर्टिंग तो हो गई. ये तो अपने आप एक काम मिल गया. बट व्हेन आई सैट डाउन ओवर देयर फॉर हाफ एन आवर, आई सेड नो यार, दिस इज नॉट इनफ. एंड immediately I sent out a message in my social group, and then when Nana got up and joined me, I asked her to send it in her neighborhood group with the message that we are collecting clothes for Goonj, and if anybody wants to deliver to has spare clothes to deliver, I'll be happy to collect and deliver to them.
What a value addition, right?
I remember that. Yes,
I had an XUV at that time, और पिछली सीट गिरा के मैंने 6 गाड़ियां गूंज के कपड़े में जाकर डिलीवर करी थी. और कहा मैं एक बंडल छोड़ के सोचा था चलो मेरी वाडेमेकम हो गई. थैंक यू फॉर रिमेम्बरिंग प्रभात. So that's the difference which the वाडेमेकम रिपोर्टिंग डिड. कि वो ठीक है, ये तो रूटीन में कर ही रहे हैं, बट गोइंग बियॉन्ड द कंफर्ट लेवल. 6 गाड़ी भर के मैंने कपड़ा छोड़ा था वहां पे नेबरहुड. इवन अपने ग्रुप में हमने UXL में भी लोगों से कपड़े ले लेके I mean, I still remember Bhushan Talreja was there. He'd come to just visit us, and when he heard what I'm doing, this was December ka mahine mein, he took off his brand new jacket and gave it to me. He said, "Give this away."
Oh,
So great people over here, and
no.
great things happen with Vadivekam.
सिर्फ यही नहीं, आप इसको नेचर की ब्लेसिंग समझ करके भी देखिए। ये ग्रेटनेस जो गिफ्ट किया नेचर ने आपको, यू डिजर्व्ड इट, दैट्स व्हाई द ब्लेसिंग्स हैड कम। मादर को भी बहाना चाहिए ना, वो तो बैठी हुई है आपको मदद करने, आपको घुमाने, आपको सही रास्ते में लाने। हम भी साला चले जाते हैं गलत रास्ते में अपने आप, वो बेचारी इंतजार करती है कब बंदा वापस आएगा, सही रास्ते में कब आएगा, वो इंतजार करती है सदाबहार। और जब थोड़ा सा कदम आप उठाते हैं, वो जो स्माइल उनके मुंह में आती है, अभी बेटा घर आया,
Knock and the door will be open.
Now the door will be open.
Knock तो करो,
अब तो करो। तो इसीलिए ये सारी चीज इतनी क्रूशियल है। आप लोग ये यूएक्सएल से इतना प्रेम क्यों करते हैं, कभी भूल नहीं पाते, क्योंकि ये ब्लेसिंग्स है, ब्लेसिंग्स का फ्लो है। मैं कहता था ना, गॉड इज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ माय कोर्स। इट्स अ स्पिरिचुअल कोर्स, इट्स अ वेलनेस कोर्स। ये बंदे को ट्रांसफॉर्म कर देती है, उसको घुमा के ले आता है सही रास्ते में, और इतनी अच्छी तरह से ले आता है, बंदा भूलता नहीं है। जितना टाइम जाता है ये बढ़ता है इंसान के अंदर में, ये अच्छाई, ये जो नोबलनेस, ग्रेटनेस, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, इसकी इंटेंसिटी बढ़ता है, जस्ट लाइक ए सस्टेन रिलीज कैप्सूल। रह जाता है ब्लड लेवल में इस दवाई का इफेक्ट लॉन्ग टर्म, अभी भी है, तभी हम सब इकट्ठे हैं वन वॉइस में। कितना मजा आ रहा है जिंदगी जीने में, तो कितना ब्लेसिंग्स मिला है। एक मिनट के लिए फील ग्रेटफुल, क्लोज योर आईज एंड प्रे, से थैंक यू right at this moment. So many grateful things have happened thanks to one little good step that we have taken. Next, anybody would read it.
May I?
Stop.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nisha. Go ahead.
Either stop doing what you are doing, speak to the person concerned, and express fully what you feel, or drop the negativity that your mind has created around the situation and that serves no purpose whatsoever except to strengthen a false sense of self. Recognizing its futility is important. Negativity is never the optimum way of dealing with any situation. In fact, in most cases, it keeps you stuck in it, blocking your real change. Anything that is done with negative energy will become contaminated by it, and in time give rise to more pain, more unhappiness. Furthermore, any negative inner state is contagious. Unhappiness spreads more easily than a physical disease. Through the law of resonance, it triggers and feeds latent negativity in others, unless they are immune. That is highly conscious.
Stop a while. Thank you, Nisha. ये देखिए, अगर उस नेगेटिविटी को हम अवेकन नहीं करते, उसको रिलीज नहीं करते, तब ऐसा होगा। हमने पिछले पैराग्राफ में जो चीज डिस्कस किया वो इससे परे है थोड़ा, है ना। ये समझा रहे हैं कि एक नेगेटिविटी दूसरा नेगेटिविटी को लाएगा, चेन इफेक्ट, तो पेन बॉडी बन जाएगा। अगर आप वो अवेकनिंग नहीं हुआ, आपने थैंक यू नहीं बोला, रेजिस्टेंस से निकल नहीं गए आप, अगर उधर आप फंस गए तो ऐसा होगा। मतलब देयर इज अ चेन इफेक्ट, आइदर इट विल टेक यू डाउन और इट विल लिफ्ट यू अप। आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? निशा दोबारा पढ़िए पैराग्राफ.
Sure. Either stop doing what you are doing, speak to the person concerned, and express fully what you feel, or drop the negativity that your mind has created around the situation and that serves no purpose whatsoever except to strengthen a false sense of self. Recognizing its futility is important.
Now here you see this. You see this powerful statement. Recognizing its futility is important. This is the thank you part of it. Go ahead.
Negativity is never the optimum way of dealing with any situation. In fact, in most cases, it keeps you stuck in it, blocking real change. Anything that is done with negative energy will become contaminated by it, and in time, give rise to more pain, more unhappiness. Furthermore, any negative inner state is contagious. Unhappiness spreads more easily than a physical disease. Through the law of resonance, it triggers and feeds latent negativity in others, unless they are immune. That is highly conscious.
Wow.
Are you polluting the world or cleaning up the mess? You are responsible for your inner space. Nobody else is. Just as you are responsible for the planet, as within, so without. If humans clear inner pollution, then they will also cease to create outer pollution.
We will discuss a little. आप सब बताइए, अभी नहीं बोलूंगा मैं. What is happening? What is happening in your thoughts? What is happening in your heart? What's happening in your consciousness? What's happening at this moment in your life? I would like that share and enlighten us with your enlightenment.
This is a very powerful statement. Are you polluting the world or just cleaning up the mess? We discussed it earlier also when we give out our negative energies onto others and exercise power over others. Quite in line with that. When we are negative inside, we are definitely going to express it outside towards that person or towards all other people possible. And this is not the way to clean up the mess. The journey has to start from within. If we are polluted inside, we cannot expect that people probably is only a reflection. It's only us and our own inner being.
Aditi, lovely. I wrote a quotation long ago. I do not know if anyone remembers it. The fire spreads faster than fragrance. Are you able to connect it?
Yes, yes.
Fragrance also spreads.
But
if it is a fire, it will take over faster. Thank you very much.
Without being very judgmental or subjective, I was just thinking the other day, you see any group of women sitting together, not depending on their age group, they're either cribbing about their mother-in-law or they're cribbing about their daughter-in-laws. So सब collective negative हो जाता है. I'm not being
yeah. I got your point.
Sexist, but the fact that when like-minded people or similar people get together and they talk more about the negative things happening in the political consciousness in India. उसने ये हो गया, इधर वो हो गया, इधर ये हो गया. So the negativity just spreads, and everybody, yeah, and everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion about the cricket match we lost, and everybody has an opinion about the political leadership in the country and what is happening in Punjab and what is happening in UP. And you're sitting in a flight, you're sitting on a train. So you just have to block yourself. Okay, I'm getting out of this. I'm not in this. This is exactly what Kurt is saying. I mean, Wayne Dyer made a very important statement, which I've used it very often: say no to negativity. Just get out of it. I read that maybe 30 years back, but that's been one of my beacons in life. Say no to negativity. Don't get involved in negative discussions.
So satsang is very important. I
Yes.
mean, OYSTER is very important for housewives. People like you ladies who are part of this. All of you are working. All of you are working outside, so you have an exposure into the outer world. The housewives are in slight disadvantage. Exceptions are always there, but in general, they're in disadvantage because they're homebound. So their exposure into the outer world is less. So when they flock around,
Quite
they
true.
discuss everything that's happening inside the world.
In their world.
Yeah. Now, inside the wall.
Inside the wall. Okay, I heard world. Yeah.
Yeah, inside the wall. दीवार के अंदर में जो चीज हो रहा है उसी में उनका दुनिया है. तो बातचीत भी वही होता है. घर में क्या हो रहा है, ये क्या कर रहे हैं, वो क्या कर रहे हैं. तो इधर मनमीत, अदिति, रवीना, अंजलि, ये सब बाहर की दुनिया में है. इसीलिए रवीना का पता नहीं.
पिछले 2 साल में जो हुआ है, ये बाहर की दुनिया वाले लोग भी घर की वॉल्स में कन्फाइंड रहे हैं.
अच्छा.
There has been a major paradigm shift. Suddenly they've realized, oh boy, there's no outlet of going out of the house.
पता नहीं क्या अभिप्राय था मदर नेचर का.
Thankfully, I have never been the part of that negativity thing, bitching around and all those things since my childhood only.
Okay, I'll check that out.
अभी सास बन फिर मिलने आऊंगा मैं.
No, seriously, I mean, that's why I had more.
No, I'm not judging you.
You know, in the class also, I used to have used to be pally with more with boys rather than being with girls because they used to keep on bitching around.
Bitching.
Yeah.
That's
Thankfully, I was away from that.
अरे कुछ तो पागलपन है हम लोगों में, तभी तो हम ऑयस्टर में हैं यार. मतलब कुछ तो है ना अलग, तभी तो शुरू से. So that is there. We are like-minded over here.
One of our major generals in the army has told me a beautiful thing. Not so much expected from a soldier, but he said, I prefer madness to meanness. I prefer madness to meanness.
Yes, madness comes more from the heart. I fully appreciate his point of view.
ये टैगोर का एक सॉन्ग है, मतलब ये एकदम कोलोकियल सॉन्ग जिसको कहते हैं, क्या कहते हैं वो जो सॉन्ग जो होता है ना, भूल रहा हूँ, फोक सॉन्ग्स. उसमें है बंगाली में कहते हैं मोनेर मतो पागल पाइलाम ना. मतलब मोनेर मतो मतलब मन जैसा चाहता है ऐसा पागल देखने को नहीं मिला आज तक. पागल की तलाश है. सारे इतने स्वस्थ है कि दुनिया इतना खराब हो रहा है. मैं तो एक पागल के तलाश में हूँ. Anyway, let's next.
How do we drop negativity? As you suggest, Eckhart answers, by dropping it. How do you drop a piece of hot coal that you're holding in your hand? How you drop some heavy, useless baggage that you are carrying? By recognizing that you don't want to suffer the pain or carry the burden anymore, and then letting go of it. Deep unconsciousness, such as the pain body, or other deep pain, such as the loss of a loved one, usually needs to be transmuted through acceptance combined with light of your presence, your sustained attention. Many patterns in ordinary unconsciousness, on the other hand, can simply be dropped once you know that you don't want them and don't need them anymore. Once you realize that you have a choice, that you're not just a bundle of conditioned reflexes, all this implies that you are able to access the power of now. Without it, you have no choice. If you call some emotions negative, aren't you creating a mental polarity of good and bad, as you explained earlier? No, the polarity was created at an earlier stage when your mind judged the present moment as bad. This judgment then created the negative emotion. Again, he is asked, but if you call some emotions negative, aren't you really saying that they shouldn't be there? That it's not okay to have these emotions? My understanding is that we should give ourselves permission to have whatever feelings come up rather than judge them as bad or say that we shouldn't have them. It's okay to feel resentful. It's okay to be angry, irritated, moody, or whatever. Otherwise, we get into repression, inner conflict, or denial. Everything is okay as it is.
हाँ,
Very
इसको
much
छोड़ेंगे
in-
नहीं, ये कंटिन्यू करेगा क्योंकि ये आगे तक चल रहा है।
हाँ.
इसको चलिए।
This is very much in line with the question asked. Somebody else can take over, Aditi or someone, Ravina?
Yes, I would. Of course, once a mind pattern, an emotion, or a reaction is there, accept it. You were not conscious enough to have a choice in the matter. That's not a judgment, just a fact. If you had a choice or realize that you do have a choice, would you choose suffering or joy? Ease or unease? Peace or conflict? Would you choose a thought or feeling that cuts you off from your natural state of well being, the joy of life within? Any such feeling I call negative, which simply means bad. Not in the sense that you should have done that,
Shouldn't
but
have done
just
that.
plain factual bad, like feeling sick in the stomach. How is it possible that humans killed in excess of 100 million fellow humans in the 20th century alone? Humans inflicting pain of such magnitude on one another is beyond anything you can imagine. And that's not taking into account the mental, emotional, and physical violence, the torture, pain, and cruelty they continue to inflict on each other as well as on other sentient beings on a daily
Sentient
basis.
beings.
Shall I repeat it?
Yeah.
How is it possible that humans killed in excess of 100 million fellow humans in the 20th century alone? Humans inflicting pain of such magnitude on one another is beyond anything you can imagine. And that's not taking into account the mental, emotional, and physical violence, the torture, pain, and cruelty they continue to inflict on each other as well as on other sentient beings on a daily basis. Do they act this way because they are in touch with their natural state, the joy of life within? Of course not. Only people who are in deeply negative state, who feel very bad indeed, would create such a reality as a reflection of how they feel. Now they are engaged in destroying nature and the planet that sustains them. Unbelievable, but true. Humans are a dangerously insane and very sick species. That's not a judgment, it's a fact. It is also a fact that sanity is there underneath the madness. Healing and redemption are available right now. Coming back specifically to what you said, it is certainly true that when you accept your resentment, moodiness, anger, and so on, you are no longer forced to act them out blindly, and you are less likely to project them onto others. But I wonder if you are not deceiving yourself when you have been practicing acceptance for a while, as you have, there comes a point when you need to go on to the next stage where those negative emotions are not created anymore. If you don't, your acceptance just becomes a mental label that allows your ego to continue to indulge in unhappiness and so strengthen its sense of separation from other people, your surroundings, your here and now. As you know, separation is the basis for the ego's sense of identity. True acceptance would transmute those feelings at once. And if you really knew deeply that everything is okay, you, as you put it, and which is of course true, then would you have those negative feelings in the first place? Without judgment, without resistance to what is, they would not arise. You would have an idea in your mind that everything is okay, but deep down you don't really believe it, and so the old mental, emotional patterns of resistance are still in place. That's what makes you feel bad. That's okay too. Are you define the are you defending your right to be unconscious, your right to suffer? Don't worry. Nobody is going to take that away from you. Once you realize that a certain kind of food makes you sick, would you carry on eating that food and keep asserting that it's okay to be sick?
We'll stop here today. I was waiting for this because when I hear the audio, this is so funny. I mean, the way he immediately brings out that is okay too. A little bit of heat he gives to that man. Are you defending your
Unconsciousness.
unconsciousness? So how many of us are defending our unconsciousness time and time again?
Yeah, the human race is highly unconscious. I was listening to a recording of Sadhguru the other day, and in which he made a very important point, which has left a very deep impression on me, is that he said if the entire earthworms in this world were wiped out, the world would finish in about 7 or 8 days. And if all the bees and the flies, insects were finished, the world won't last more than a month. And similarly, he had this thing about animals. And he said if by chance the entire human race is wiped out, the entire earth will flourish. That is the impact we have made on the nature. That imagine a world without the entire human race, and everything will be back to normal the way nature wanted it. There'd be trees growing out of your house. There'd be, imagine.
Absolutely.
And yet we say we are the peak of the civilization or the top of the pyramid. a very important point, which again Eckhart has talked about today.
I was hearing another presentation, which is somewhat relevant to what you are sharing right now. Very, very beautiful. I wish I could send it over to you. A great speaker. He says, I was looking at the old man. I was very young when I was 26 years old. He's a motivational speaker. And not so famous, but great speaker. He says, when I was 26 years old, I was in a cruise, and eventually that was occupied by old people, and we were traveling together. And there were a lot of flowers in this cruise, and one of the old man was taking photograph of the flower. Where few of the young people, we prefer to booze and dance and do all the crazy things that we love doing. We find no sense in why this old man is sitting down taking photograph of the flower. What is this silly thing he is doing? I couldn't accept that. I said, how can people be so funny, so lifeless, so crazy, and so meaningless? But it somehow kept I kept on brooding over it for some time. And next day in the breakfast table, I found a seat beside him, and he said, "You see, we dance, we enjoy here in the quiz, and you throughout the day you take photographs of the flowers. Same flower, you will take photographs from different angle. What is the craze? What do you find in doing this?" Interestingly, the topic this man was speaking on was wealth. Wealth. And beautifully executed his speech. Finally, he said, what is the greatest wealth that we want in life? And then the old man said, there are two kinds of wealth, young man. One is the wealth that money can buy. Another is the wealth that money cannot buy. Until I was old, my life began at 60. Until I became 60 and I retired, I never knew I'm wasting my time in this life. I was busy in acquiring wealth of the money. I wanted to acquire wealth for buying things in my life, material things. And then my work world was over and really realized what is the true meaning of life. There is abundance of wealth in this world which is available. You don't have to buy. Flower is one of them. And the beautiful joy that I had in my life, memory of that joy, keeping it in my heart, my emotions are the greatest wealth. The beautiful time I spend with my friends, my family. This is the wealth for an old man. So you may call me old, but I'm really young at this stage because I really discovered the true meaning of wealth in my life. Air, sunlight, beautiful greeneries, lovely places, wonderful friends, cherishing the memories of some beautiful moments. What is the value of this wealth? Can any money buy it? So old people are not old people, don't disregard us. And he concluded his speech by saying that that was a real transformation of my life. And finally he suggested, while you live your life as a young man, preserve those valuable moments. Cherish them. And that is the greatest wealth you're going to live on throughout your life. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a family photograph album is all about the happy moments that you've spent in life. Maybe a trip to the zoo, a wedding, or anything. Those are the memories you cherish.
Yeah. This guy Raj Benz, he was the shippy, first batch Chandigarh. He and his wife came for my introductory. Surinder Benz and Raj Benz. Surinder is still a friend. Raj has passed away. And these two joined, and he came at a point when his leaves were over, because they have long leaves, as you know, the shippy, and he was about to join the ship. He was a very, very senior captain of a merchant navy, and his wife was a housewife. And both of them came in. Surinder jumped into the course and she paid up, and Raj was very sad. He said, I'll be leaving because I cannot join the course. It's a 3 months course, or once in a month. So I'll be joining back the ship. And Surinder became a class champion, and she was the class convener. She's very good. She's from Scindia School, Gwalior, and she's very, very enlightened lady, a very good speaker. And she grew leaps and bounds after the training. And Raj used to get the message. 1 second. So, fortunately, I was launching my 9th batch. I'm talking about the first batch when his wife graduated. I was running my 9th batch when Raj Benz came back for a long leave, and it coincided with the leave and my course. That was also a 3 months course. He jumped back and signed up for my training. And he's a robust Sardar and very, very highly egoist person. Okay. And on the 3rd or the 4th class, is maybe on some speech, I exactly don't remember, shameful or something, I do not know. He says, today for the first time I've joined the course. For the first 3 sessions, I was competing with my wife. And today I realized that I'm competing with myself. I was very angry on Oshik. He has taken my wife away. I mean, many husbands say this after the training. So today I realized that it's not Surinder with whom I am competing. I wanted to outsmart her because she became very smart after the course. That's why I took the course, to outsmart her. But today, for the first time, I realized that it is not she with whom I'm competing with myself. And this man became team leader when the HR meeting started. Would you believe he had a CLO car then? The new CLO car had came those days. This guy is a shippy. He doesn't have a life outside the ship. And he is the HR leader, and he has to talk about his life. The fellow, the cranky fellow, he will go out in the morning, pick up people from their houses. And someone lived in Deravashi. He would pick up people from there, no absentees. He would meet twice in a week. And out of the 12, 13 meetings, HRT meetings, 9 or 10 meetings, he spoke. In his big house in, they have big houses in Chandigarh and Mohali. His big drawing room will be filled with 8 people in the group. It was a full batch. 8 people in his group, and he will have a big, globe, standing globe, जो रखा होता है, standing globe, and he will stand up with a what is that called? The pointer they use in the teaching class. He will use a stand up and said, he will dance around and say, and my ship was there. And there came a tempest. And he will dramatize and give stories of his ship. People will be spellbound. He never allowed anybody to speak because he said, no, don't allow anybody. You continue speaking as long as you want. HR meetings, you should unpour yourself completely. The fellow spoke for all the 9 sessions. There were only 3 more sessions left for others to speak. 100% attendance. Rajbens completed his course, and he went back to the ship. Crazy thing.
The moment he realized that he's competing with himself is growth.
Yeah, correct. Poor guy died a couple of years before. Anyway, so let's hear some Eckhart Tolle.
So we are moving beyond thought, not back. We step beyond thought. This is humanity's destiny. And it's urgent now, not in the sense of, oh, we must get there. It's urgent in the sense that there is an intensity now to the arising consciousness, because the madness that is the dysfunction of the old consciousness is also accelerating. It gets worse, and at the same time the new is already arising. The two movements, the old still not even having reached yet the end of its madness, and the new arising at the same time. The old is still much more visible in this world, the madness of the old state of consciousness, with its need for conflict and problems, and the violence that arises out of that state, and the immeasurable suffering that humans inflict on each other and on themselves out of that state. That madness is continuing on the planet. You only need to watch the news on TV or read the paper. That's a continuation of what we have seen in the 20th century and before that. And the new is arising, not so much visible on the surface of things yet. Rarely mentioned in the media. Occasionally it is mentioned already here and there. So, this is why we are here. Simply not to make it happen, but to allow it to happen. We are simply opening the door wider so that it can less and less we're not offering resistance to that anymore. So your practice here is continuous, but don't make impossible demands upon yourself. Of course you will get drawn even here back into mind streams, yes. You may reincarnate into a reactive mind stream. And then a moment comes when suddenly there's an awakening out of that. Oh. And you can see how clear, how obvious the difference between the states of the awakened state. A moment ago, you were in that heaviness, that dense energy. And suddenly, you step out, and it's also like having left, when you're on the plane, it goes through the clouds, and suddenly the clouds are underneath you. Oh, and there's vast, clear space, infinite. And the clouds are still there, but you're not in them anymore. Oh. And so as you walk here through the gardens along the river, see if you can be in that state where the sense perception does not absorb your attention entirely, nor the mental labels that arise to do with those sense perceptions or to do with something totally different. They don't absorb your attention totally. Attention remains free as the field of attention. In other words, you perceive in and through stillness without needing to label everything immediately through the mind. Of course, you know you're looking at this flower, you know it's a flower without having to tell yourself that this is a flower. You know it's beautiful without having to tell yourself that it's beautiful. And so you realize that there is vast knowing beyond mental labels and concepts. And then you know far more than you could ever know through labels or concepts, because you sense there is a depth to that which we call flower and an aliveness to that which we call flower. That mystery that is not explained by the label flower at all. That mystery that is covered up by the label flower and gives you the delusion that now you know what it is. Just a sound. You've made a sound that has come out of your mouth, or you've uttered the sound in your mind, and that gives you the delusion that you know what that is. Children are told that when they learn a language, the delusion is reinforced every time you tell a child, that's called such and such. I have forgotten the names of flowers. What's that? Gladioli. This is a gladioli, if that's what it is. And the child will believe you. Dreadful. So what can you do do you tell a child, don't call it anything? That doesn't work either. But you might say to a child, well, look at it, smell it, touch it. Look. And then, as an afterthought, yeah, you can say, oh, by the way, we call it such and such, instead of saying, it is such and such.
Oh boy.
Then that creates some distance from the label, so that the child doesn't totally believe in that label, because then you get more and more trapped in concepts and labels until you reach the age of, then finally at 18, you're totally imprisoned through the system that has done it even more to you. And you're totally imprisoned in a conceptualized reality of mental labels that concern both the world around you, and they're all conditioning. All the surrounding culture has conditioned you with whatever mental labels they've put into you. And you inhabit a conceptualized reality, not knowing how dead your universe has become, how dead and deadened your reality has become. And you live equally in a conceptualized sense of self. You make yourself into mental concepts. And so this is the essence of not knowing who you are. That's the essence of this false self. Once you have a false self, nothing is seen as it is, and everything is misinterpreted through that conditioning. Everything is distorted and deadened through that conditioning. And that's how people live. And that is our entire civilization has come out of that. And is it surprising how mad the civilization is? Of course, it's not surprising considering the state of consciousness out of which it has come. So we are stepping out of that, the compulsion to label continuously, and so you move here, you walk through the gardens and along the river, and what arises is the state that is free of the need to label. And should a label arise in you as you walk, which is a thought, you recognize it as just a thought and not it. And then it arises and passes and you're back in just... And then perhaps another compulsive label comes. Okay. And then somebody comes towards you on the path, walking. And some mental judgment comes in concerning the form of this being.
Mhm.
And you recognize it as a thought, no more. You no longer completely believe in it, you're not completely in it anymore. You allow that to be also. And then, so gaps arise in which there are no labels, in which seemingly you no longer know anything. And that's why it's a little bit frightening for some people to enter that realm, because it seems at first as if you no longer knew. And how can I need to know what's going on here? I need to judge it in some way, classify it in some way. No. And you see how beautiful, powerful, intelligent, and deep that state is of not labeling. And great intelligence operates here. But it is not the limited intelligence of the human mind. It's only a small aspect of the vastness of intelligence that ultimately you are.
I find this one of the best that I've heard. Every time it happens, every time I hear, I found this is one of the best that I heard. Now, there are 3 dimensions to this listening. One dimension is Eckhart teaching us, and we are students. Second dimension is when we begin sharing on it and relating it with our discussion today and reflecting with our own ideas and thoughts and all that. That is the second learning, through sharing. And third learning is we teaching ourselves this philosophy. Why I say this? Because I read the book 5 times and there were 5 layers. First time I read it, I just read it because someone told me. Eckhart was telling me certain things. I was listening, I was seeing, I was watching. Second thing, I started talking about it to others and experiencing the dilemmas of acceptance. Third time when I read it, I could apprehend what's coming. Now, as we are reading it, I know what the next paragraph is. I read it so many times. I listened to it so many times. I know what's happening. So I'm relating it. I'm traveling with it. In fact, I am this message which Eckhart is giving us. I'm one with this message. So I suggest we make a copy of this video, take it with us, or you have the link YouTube link or something, then listen to it yourself. Second time, third time. If you suggest, we can once again listen it next time together for sharing. If you are okay, we would like to do it 3 times, because this is very, very relevant. He has discussed in mundane terms about attentions. Many things he has clarified, and he will take us close to acceptance of the power of now, living in the present moment. There could be a lot of growth. That's what is my suggestion, but I'm not willing to thrash anything to you. So there are 2 suggestions, and you suggest what you're going to do. Are you going to re-listen it next time, or are you going to listen it yourself and we go to the next video next time? What is the best option that you have? Because this is something which is very, very deep, very beautiful. This is everything about absorbing the power of now.
I feel we listen to it next time as well. So the rest
Same
of
here.
the people who are missing, they can also
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
discuss.
We'll share this in the group also, Ashit. And personally, I've been through this video twice since last evening when you shared it with me. And I think we're very much on the same track that we should discuss this more. You would recall erroneous zones. Dr. Dyer also talks about the negative aspects of labeling. When you label me, you negate me. A lot of us get stuck in our labels. I'm a Punjabi, I'm a Libran, I'm a Leo, that's the way I am. Or even to the worst is when you label your child, ये बहुत गुस्से वाला है, तो बच्चा एक अपने को उसी दायरे में बिठा लेता है. He is an extrovert child, she is an introvert child. You're labeling the child, and you're limiting the person. The minute you label somebody, you negate him, that you're not this, you're not this, you're not this, you're this. So labeling is a very, very serious issue which he has raised over here, and how important it is to go beyond that and then just look at the person and forget what he is. He's South Indian or a North Indian.
Or a Rotarian, or a lion.
Rotarian, lion, or whatever, or an honest Oysterian. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
We are also labeling ourselves and talking about that.
Opurish will always say Rotaries, coteries, lions, rats, and cats.
So important to grow beyond this thing. I mean, even in the New Earth, when the first chapter he's talking, Eckhart, that go into a forest, just look at the trees, don't label them, don't name them. Look at a tree as if you've seen it for the first time in your life. Look at a rose as if you've seen the rose for the first time in your life. It's appreciate the beauty, then give it a name later on. I mean, it's so beautifully said that then tell the child what it is. Ask him to first, there's such a learning in this, that first I'll let him appreciate the color, the fragrance, the shape, and then say, okay, now this is what a rose looks like, or this is what a gladiola looks like, rather than tell him this is a rose, it's supposed to be red, it's supposed to be pink, it has a fragrance. तो आपने पहले ही उसको नेगेट कर और
कंडीशन कर दिया,
बाउंड्री क्रिएट कर दी,
लिमिट कर दिया, लिमिट.
Because the way I look at it, a flower, and way somebody else looks at it will be totally different. So why put my conditioning onto that?
Actually, remember I clicked a picture of a flower and sent it to you from Sayadri. I don't know the name of the flower. It was so beautiful. I couldn't, stop myself clicking it. And
from my own life, I relate. This thing, जब ये cable TV नया शुरू हुआ था, suddenly there was a lot of sports. ESPN and Sports World came in, and I think Kunal was 5 or 6 years old when he actually saw a football game happening on screen, and he said, "Papa, ये क्या game है?" I said, "Look at it and then tell me." So a 6-year-old's interpretation of football was कि ये जो black T-shirt और shirt में है, दैट इज द रेफरी, ये उसकी बॉल है और ये दोनों टीम वाले उसके पीछे पीछे भाग रहे हैं, वो अपनी बॉल के पीछे भाग रहा है। जो रेफरी है ये उसकी बॉल है और ये दोनों वाले उसको तंग कर रहे हैं, एक दूसरे के आगे पीछे भाग रहे
Look at the observation.
different observation है with that's the way a 6-year-old sees the football matches. बिकॉज नॉर्मली वो नीचे हमारे साथ खेला, बॉल लेके उसको किक किया, बॉल उठा के वापस लिया, ये मेरी बॉल है मैं लेके जा रहा हूँ। तो कहते ये जो रेफरी है ना, ये काली टी शर्ट में जो है, ये उसकी बॉल है और बाकी लोग उसको तंग कर रहे हैं।
That's very funny, yeah. We have a little coherence before we close.
Yes, please.
Oh, let's settle straight on the chair.
Also, I may need to excuse myself. I need to leave that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 8:45 already. Thank you so much, Joshi, for all your help.
Thanks.
Just 5 minutes. Just sit silently and we will only focus on our breathing and practice conscious breathing. 5 minutes without any guidance. Let us begin returning. With our awareness on place. Very gently rub your face. Press your eyeballs. Smile. Gently open your lids. Okay, so how did it all go today? I want a feedback on, do you think my narrations are becoming longer so that I restrain myself?
They can never be long enough, Ashit.
Yeah, I appreciate what you have said, but I
No,
would like frank.
The deeper, no, frankly, the deeper we go, the better it is. So no issues. I have no issues. I don't know about the others. I speak for
It
myself.
can't be longer, Ashit, when you are speaking.
They bring more
Because
clarity.
we got quite engrossed in it when you speak.
Yeah, because that hangover was there कि मैं बहुत ज्यादा तो इन लोगों का टाइम नहीं ले रहा हूँ क्योंकि आपकी शेयरिंग सबसे जरूरी है ज्यादा.
Not everybody.
It brings more clarity.
Yeah.
बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है. So any feedback?
How are you feeling today, Ashit?
How are you feeling about how I am feeling?
Terrific.
So you cannot be wrong.
So it's okay to have a bath or not have a bath, Ravina. Which side are we on now?
नहीं, उनको कोल्ड हो जाता है ना, सुबह हमने मना किया था इसलिए थोड़ा लेट बोला डॉक्टर ने नहाने.
जिंदगी में पहली बार गर्म पानी में नहाने का मजा ले रहा हूँ.
अरे वाह.
चलो एडमिट तो किया कि नहाने गर्म पानी में नहाने में मजा आए. यही बहुत बड़ी विक्ट्री है हमारे लिए. That you have admitted. Good.
So I think we got the formula of how to reduce the inner pollution as we keep talking about how to reduce outer pollution and different government policies and others. There are car के लिए BS6 engine and others are coming to reduce the pollution. So we got some formula for inner pollution, for surrounding pollutions, how we can reduce.
Correct.
The less UV resistant, I think that's the formula I think we can adopt.
Great.
Ultimately, everything revolves around and comes back to awareness.
We have very limited strength today, na? 6 participants only.
7 were there.
Actually 6 Ashit को ना count किया जाए तो.
हाँ जी.
With Rishi had to leave early, so 6 plus Ashit. Manmeet is traveling. I know about Anjali. So all is good.
Even I had to go, but
Chalo.
then leave.
All right.
The 6 of us got over a resentment and joined. That is what is important.
Yeah.
Good to be here. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right.
I'm
Bye-bye.
stopping the recording now and should also be ending.
Have a great Sunday.